dear learners. So we have finished with acquisition section, technical section. We have seen the minute details of these two sections. And as you know, the library is having probably 5 or 6 sections that we'll be discussing in this area, in this chapter or this module. And the third most prominent is circulation section. Circulation section, why it is important is because the user, they normally interact, user, client or the patron, they normally interact with the circulation section. And so most of the users, most of the client, if you ask, so they literally know about the circulation section, but that they might not be knowing about the acquisition and the technical section. I told you in the beginning that these are behind the scene activities. So acquisition and technical, they are performing behind the scene. They make the things ready, and when the food is ready, it has to be served to the guest. In the similar way, the acquisition will do all the necessary job to acquire the document, and the processing section or the technical section will do all the jobs, odd jobs, to complete the document, make it retrievable, do all the fine processing, and then only it will be available to the patron or the user or the client. So, but in any case, once the document is ready, the fundamental purpose of the library is to circulate among the clients, circulate among the users, circulate among the members. So what is important is any member, any user, if you are a registered user, then only you can avail this facility of circulation. If you are simply a user who has not registered himself or herself as a member of the library, will not be able to avail some of the services. So first and foremost thing is that if you want to avail the complete service of the library, and especially the circulation, and which has a immediate impact on the learning process. So for that, it is important that one should get registered with the library. And getting registered means your complete details will be available with the library, and what you will be borrowing with the library, and what all activities you will be doing, because we are opening the collection for the public use. So we should know, the library should know, as an authority, library should know what you are interested in. We are not stopping you from getting any document issued for reading purpose, because basically the library is meant for that. You can get any document issued, provided what is important is that the library should know who you are. And once we know the user, then the library does not have any problem in issuing you a document for a longer period of time, or maybe for a stipulated period of time. And even if you want to have it for a longer period of time, then you can get. There are provisions in the library, so you can avail those provisions and enjoy the benefit of the library. So basically, if I try to introduce this circulation section, you all as a student or as an audience, you must have visited the library, and you know circulation simply by one activity, that this section is only responsible for issue and return, or check out and check in, that's all. You probably also know this circulation section as a place where you want to take, if you want to take a registration, you can visit this section and take the registration. After taking registration, you will be getting the reader's ticket, or you will be getting the library iCard or come membership card. And the second thing is, you will be coming only for the issue and return, or check out and check in. This is what is the perception which any user or any member is having. But let me tell you, the circulation section is doing a lot of activities. Probably in this lecture, we will get to know what all activities the circulation section is doing. And slowly, gradually, when the things will unravel, and by the end of the section, you will be mature enough to understand what all activities this circulation section is doing. So I have divided the content of this lecture in these different parts. First, I'll just simply give you the brief introduction, and then the aims of the circulation. We will discuss the aims of the circulation section, and then what are the advantages, and then the circulation work, basically what all activity it is doing. So I told you right from registration of members to interlibrary loaning, all these activities, they are taken up by the circulation section. So we will take up one by one. So just to introduce what this circulation is. So what you can see the image, it shows a circulation section, and it shows that you can get the document. If possible, you can get the document for use, and not necessarily means within the library, but you can carry this document. Once you are the member of this library, you can carry this document and study at your place. You want to study at home, you want to study at in your department, or you want to study anywhere else, that you can carry the documents from here. So this is, you can see within this bustling halls of the library, and amidst the quiet hum of the scholarly activities and the rustle of turning pages, lies the circulation section. So a vital nexus connecting the library's vast collection of knowledge with the eager minds of its patrons. More than just a repository of books, the circulation section represents the beating heart of library service, facilitating the flow of information and the exchange of ideas. So circulation section basically embodies the fundamental principle of accessibility and inclusivity, ensuring that the library resources are readily available to all who seek them. From seasoned scholars to curious learners, the circulation desk stands as a beacon of assistance, guiding patrons through the shelves in search of the literary treasures. But the role of circulation section extends far beyond book lending. It's a dynamic hub of activity where dedicated staff members they help in borrowing and returning the material, maintaining meticulous records also, and providing invaluable assistance to library users. And especially in the digital age, the circulation section has evolved to embrace new technologies and innovation practices, from automated checkout systems to barcode technology. Last time I told you about the barcode technology also, and now we'll be discussing in detail this time. But amidst the ever-changing landscape of library services, the core mission remains unchanged. That is to foster a culture of exploration, discovery, and lifelong learning. So basically, the circulation section serves as a backbone of the library, ensuring that the materials are readily available to the users, effectively managed throughout their life cycle, and contributing to the fulfillment of the library's mission to provide access to information and promote lifelong learning. So as I told you, this circulation section you will find in every library, almost every library, whether it is a public library, academic library, or a special library, or even a, for that matter, national library. All the libraries you will find circulation section, but National Library is the exception, because National Library is basically meant for reference only. Otherwise, all the three types of libraries, means academic, public, and special, they will have the circulation section. And circulation section is basically to help the user to provide as much as possible, so that all the users, they can interact with the collection, and whatever they like, as per their liking, they can collect the documents. There is a stipulation. It can be 3 books, 4 books, 5 books, depending upon the size of the library, and they can stipulate. So those many books can be carried by the members, and they can read at their disposal, and then finally they can return it also. So stipulation of time is also there, and stipulation in number of books that can be issued at a time, that is also there. So certain rules are there. So rules and regulations are there. So members are supposed to follow the rules, and if they are not following the rules, then definitely they have to pay the penalty for that. But the idea is just to bridge the gap between the user and the collection. So the circulation section plays a major role in bridging this gap. Then coming to the aims of circulation section. So I have broadly categorized these 6 major aims of the circulation section. So one by one we will take up one by one. First is maximizing the use of library material. That you can see the job I told you, the job of circulation section is to somehow bring the user and the collection close to each other, and according to the liking, according to the taste, according to the courses which they have opted, user can pick up the documents of his or her choice, and again user will be free to read whether he or she wants to read in the library or outside the library or at home or at any place, whichever is convenient to the user. Accordingly, because the knowledge can only be gained when you are totally free without any foundation. So basically the primary goal is here to just ensure that the library material is utilized to the fullest extent by the patrons or the users. So this involves implementing proper procedure systems for charging and discharging. When I say charging and discharging, that is simply issue and return, and in other terms we also call it as checkout and check-in, because a lot of terminologies will be using it. The most primitive terminology which everybody is aware of, that is issue and return, and then slowly gradually we started using the word charging and discharging also, and then maybe the software terminology we started using checkout and check-in also. So ultimately it means the same. So basically maintaining the accurate record of the circulation transactions. What is important is the record should be perfectly maintained, to whom this particular document has been issued. So at any point of time, if somebody wants to check it, so this document is available with whom and when it is going to come back to the library, at least the system should be equipped enough to answer this question. So second most important aim is the tracking material usage, because this section is meant for lending the documents, because the user, whenever the user has to borrow the document, the user will ultimately come to the circulation section. So when this section is responsible for borrowing the documents, lending the documents, so because borrowing and lending, everything goes on from here only, so quite possible, and it is feasible for the circulation to maintain the record also. But at any point of time, if somebody wants to check it, most active user or most voracious reader of your library, at least this section should be in a position to tell this particular member has read about 50 books in a year, or this particular member has, maybe member such and such has read about 30 books in a year. And number two, which, if just suppose any document, if we want to similarly, if we want to find out this document has been used how many times, or how many times it has been circulated. So you can check the circulation record and you can just find out that a particular document has been issued 50 times, 60 times, 70 times. So that shows a high usage of a particular document also. So depending upon the circulation records, we can decide whether we want to have few more copies of a particular title, or we can just get along with the number of titles whatever we have, or number of copies which we have in the library. So these are some of the crucial decisions which one has to take when you are in a position to get the records and the statistics of the circulation section. So basically, this section or service aims to answer essential questions regarding the usage of library material, such as whether a particular book has been used, and if it has been issued, to whom it has been issued. This includes keeping track of all due dates, identifying overdue materials, and maintaining statistics on the circulation of library resources. That is quite important here. And third aim is to manage the pattern information or the user information. So circulation service also focuses on managing pattern information or user information effectively, and this includes identifying individual readers, determining how many books a patron can borrow, and tracking the borrowing history of each patron. That all this we can do when the circulation is maintaining record of both books as well as patrons. Next important aim is enforcing the borrowing policies. So this circulation section are also responsible for enforcing borrowing policies and regulations, and this include determining the duration for which patron can keep a book, calculating overdue charges and fines, and collecting fines for the late returns. So this all jobs are done by the circulation section. Then one more important aim of this section is to reserve the materials. The circulation service also facilitates the reservation of materials by the patrons. So this basically involves keeping track of reserved items, identifying which patron have reserved specific materials, and managing the process of notifying patrons when reserve items become available. So this is just somewhat similar to getting reservation in any train or your aeroplane, because normally whenever you intend to travel and what you are comfortable is, at least you should have a seat with you. Then only you are comfortable while traveling. Same is the case here. Just suppose in any case, if you are able to get the record that this document is not available in the library and you are quite inquisitive, a user is quite inquisitive to read the document, then what provision we have in the library is you can contact the circulation desk, immediately reserve the document. Once you reserve the document, just fill up all the details. I'll let you know the whole thing in due course of time. You just fill up all the details, and once you fill up all the details and just submit with the circulation staff, immediately what will happen is whenever the document comes back to the library, the staff will be responsible to inform you that this document is now available and you are the only person or maybe the first among others to reserve this document. So you have the right to get this document now. So anytime you can come and this have the document. So this service is available in the library, and most of the users, they don't know about it. Most of the clients, most of the users, they don't know about it, and ultimately what happens is whenever they have the quest to read the document, they will come to the library, and if it is not available, ultimately that quest will die out. So at least that should not be the case. You have the provision, you have the facility, you have a service, and one should be aware of that service. Immediately go to the circulation counter, get the document reserved, and whenever the document will come back to the library, it will be the job of the staff to just inform you so that anytime you can come, you can drop in the library and get the document issued. Then one more important aim is providing the statistical information. And this section, as I told you, this monitors the activity of the complete library, because ultimately how much is being used, who are the active users, who are passive users, which documents are actively used, which documents are passively used, all this record can be accessed through the statistics maintained by the circulation section. So this circulation service generates statistical data related to the circulation activities, such as the number of books issued, the number of reservations, fines collected, and other relevant metrics. This information helps in assessing the effectiveness of circulation operations and informing decision-making process within the library. Next, we'll discuss the advantages. So this section offers various advantages contributing to the efficient operation of the library and enhancing the experience for both patrons and staff. So the biggest advantage here you can see is access to library materials. So the circulation section facilitates the borrowing and lending of the library materials, ensuring that patrons have access to a wide range of resources for their educational, informational, and recreational needs. Then number two, what is big advantage here again is the convenience for patrons. By allowing patrons to borrow materials for home use, the circulation section provides convenience and flexibility, accommodating the busy schedule and diverse needs of the library users. Then third advantage, that is promotion of reading. So basically this section is trying to promote the reading habits by making it easy for the patrons or the users to borrow books and other materials. The circulation section encourages reading and lifelong learning, fostering a culture of intellectual curiosity and exploration. Fourth important activity or advantage is utilization of library resources. So effective circulation services help maximize the use of library resources by ensuring that materials are consistently in circulation and available to patrons when needed. So basically the job of circulation section is the usage of documents, usage of material to the fullest. That is the optimum utilization of the resources which we have in the library. Ultimately, if that is possible, because every year we have a budget, and that budget is used in such a way that we keep on updating our collection, and ultimately whatever we procure, we have to see to it, the library people, they have to see to it that it is being maximally utilized also. Because idea is this complete knowledge that should not remain only in the library. That knowledge should slowly, gradually pass on to the clients, pass on to the customers, pass on to the users. And the moment it passes on to the users, the job of library is done. So circulation section is very much instrumental in passing on the knowledge from the library to the users. So another advantage is basically the organization and maintenance of collection. So the circulation section plays a key role, especially in the organization and maintenance of the library collection, ensuring that materials are properly shelved, catalogued, and accounted for in the library's record. Then one more advantage of this circulation section is revenue generation. But although no one is in favor of this revenue generation, some libraries charges fine for overdue material or offer paid services such as printing and photocopying, contributing to revenue generation for the library. But the calculation of fine should not be counted as a revenue generation mechanism. Ultimately, the library is doing it just to deter the users from delaying the return. Delaying the moment you delay the process, if the process of discharging or the process of return is delayed, so ultimately what happens is the backlash is somebody else who has reserved the document, or any user who is interested in that particular title is not getting access, is not able to get the document. So it should not be that one user is benefited to such an extent that it becomes a loss of the another user. So at least the library is trying to penalize the user so that the issue and return, that should be done in a timely manner. So now let me tell you the circulation work, because now by this time you are acquainted with the circulation section. What are their activities, what are their advantages, and what all they aim. So what all work they do, that is more important to understand what all work they are doing at. So you can see here they are involved in at least 8 more important activities. Right, one, that you can see the registration of members. This section is only responsible for registration of members. Means every new member has to get himself or herself registered first. Then only you become the library member. And once you are the member, then only you can avail some prominent services. Otherwise, you are a general user, you come to the library, avail few services which are meant for everyone, and then you can just by availing the general services, you can leave the library. But any user who wants to avail the library facilities, collection, services, so what is important is you have to get yourself registered. Number 2 important activity will be the loan procedures that we'll discuss in detail. Third important is overdue charges. Fourth is reservation. As I told you, reserving a document is also possible, but one should know about it. And the fifth activity, more important, is renewal. Means you can renew the documents also. Probably sometimes normally what happens is, just suppose if I get a document issued and immediately I'm having some assignment, I have to book for the assignment, or I have to perform a journey. You are in a journey and you have not been able to go through the document, you have not been able to read the document. Best option is you just get in touch with the library and get if the time is over, then in that case you can find out if somebody has already reserved the document or not. If somebody has not reserved it, you can just renew the document. So I'll let you know the process, how it can be done. And the 6th important activity is statistics. 7th, record, because it has to, so many records are generated, so it has the responsibility to maintain those records also. That is also one of the prominent activity of circulation section. And the last of all is interlibrary loan method. So loaning is also one of the activity which can only take place if you have due registration of all the members and proper record of all the books, especially in your library. So coming to the first activity, or the first activity in the circulation work, that is registration of members. So, especially in the context of library circulation, registration serves as a critical mechanism for managing the lending of the library material and ensuring the accountability for the use of public resources. The decision to, without recording borrowers' information, raises several considerations regarding the practicality and feasibility of such an approach. So, just while going through the registration of members, what all is important is number one, accountability to public authorities. So, libraries are custodians of public funds basically, allocated for the acquisition of library materials. Now, as such, librarians are accountable to public authorities for the proper management and disposal of these resources. So, without registration, it becomes challenging to track the circulation of books and demonstrate responsible stewardship of public funds. So, next important activity in the registration is resource allocation. Registration enables librarians to track the demand for a specific material and allocate resources accordingly. So, if we have proper registration, then only we know what are the demands of the users, what are the demands of the clients, and accordingly they can channelize the funds also. By maintaining records of borrowed items and borrowers' information, librarians can identify popular titles and ensure equitable access to library resources for all patrons. Third, why this registration is important is to prevent the resource depletion. Without registration, there is a risk of resource depletion, as multiple patrons may request the same book simultaneously, and failures to track borrowed items could result in delays or unmet requests for other patrons seeking the same title. So, registration helps prevent resource scarcity by facilitating efficient circulation management. It normally happens when a similar title is required by a number of users. If it is required by many users, so at least it will help us in taking a decision whether we want more copies or we can manage with a number of copies which are available in the libraries. Then again, why registration is important is the financial constraints also is one of the factor. Those unlimited funds are not readily available for the immediate procurement of additional copies of the popular titles. So, registration allows librarians to monitor the circulation of high demanded materials and make informed decisions regarding resource allocation within budgetary constraints. So, this is why the registration of members is important in any case, and this is the first activity in the circulation section, that if anybody wants to join the library, one has to resort to registration. Once you resort to registration, once you take the membership, then only you are a registered member of the library, and then you are in a position to avail all the facilities which library is giving. Then what is the purpose of registration basically? The purpose of registration in a library is to serve multiple things: for ensuring accountability, that is as understood, to understanding patrons' demographics, and measuring the library's effectiveness also. How much effective we are, and who are the people, from which area they are coming. So, all this we have to keep on monitoring, because ultimately if we are in a position to monitor all this, then only library will be able to give a better service. Otherwise, if we don't monitor, don't keep record of all these things, then we'll not be in a position to give better service to our clients in future. So, first activity is, the purpose is to identify the borrowers. So, registration basically allows the library to identify borrowers and establish a relationship with them. Knowing the whereabouts of the borrowers enables libraries to remind them to return borrowed material, and thereby safeguarding library property and protecting the rights of other patrons who may wish to use the material. Because if we don't register our members, don't keep record of the members, then in that case anybody can get 3-4 documents issued and just vanish from the library. And once any user XYZ, if we don't have the record from where we will track it. If the user gets just suppose any user randomly comes to your library and he get 3-4 documents issued and leaves the library forever, and he never returns, and you don't know about the whereabouts of the user also. So how we are going to track it? How we are going to get those books back to the library? So if before starting the lending process, what is important is the circulation should be meant only for the registered users. And registration is, you share the details, where you are staying, who you are, where you are working, where you are staying. If your library, if the library is supposed to cater to the requirements of the catchment area, whether you are a resident of this catchment area or not, and if you are a resident of this jurisdictional area, then only you can avail the facilities. Otherwise, if you are not in the jurisdiction area, probably you have to use some other library. Especially it happens in the public libraries, because the public library is meant for a particular area, and the people of those area can only be catered with a public library. It is not possible that a user from some other district will come to your library and seek the patronship or seek the membership. That is quite impossible. Then statistical analysis. This registration also provides dependable statistics for measuring the library's usefulness and effectiveness in serving its community. Circulation data, including the number of volumes circulated and the number of borrowers serve as principal metrics for assessing the library's social significance and impact. So, as I told you that anytime the records can be generated, statistics can be analyzed, and a wiser decision or wiser decision making can be done. Third most prominent purpose is understanding the patron characteristics. So registration also helps libraries in understanding the general characteristics of their patrons, including age, gender, occupation, and residential location, from which area these people are coming. So that area is dominated by the literate people, or it is a place where those who are literate only, they are making use of the library. So all this analysis can only be done when you know the location, and this information provides insight into the demographic composition of the library's user base and informs collection development and outreach efforts to better meet the needs of diverse patron groups. Then the fourth most prominent purpose is assessment of library's utility. How much the library is being used. So registration data also allows libraries to assess their utility to the community by tracking service utilization and demand. So comparative analysis of circulation statistics enables libraries to benchmark their performance against other libraries and identify areas for improvement or expansion of services. So all this can only be done when you have the proper registration of members. So this is a small pro forma which I've shared with you. You have to fill up this kind of pro forma. Whenever a new user comes to the library, you have to fill up all these details and get it signed from your head of the department, or maybe any civil servant or any class 1 officer. You get it signed from any class 1 officer and try to submit as a record. So along with this pro forma, your photograph is also there, your Aadhaar or your residence proof or your voter card, anything can be there, and then you can be a bona fide member of any library, whether it is academic library. If it is academic library, you have to get your signatures from the head of the department or the principal of the college or principal of the school, whatsoever it may be. And if it is a public library, then in that case definitely you need a class 1 officer. Anybody gazetted officer can attest it whether you are a resident of that area or not. Along with your Aadhaar or along with your voter card, you can submit this whole pro forma meant for registration. And once you submit to the library will acknowledge it, just get it cross-checked, and then they will make you a registered member of their library, any library. So now coming to the loan process. Once registration is over, Then automatically the next activity is loan procedure, where the members can borrow any book and the library is ready to lend any book. The two things should be perfectly in shape. One is we have a proper record of books, and second most important is we have proper record of the user. And if these two things are intact, then lending is not an issue. So this procedure, basically these loaning procedures are set of steps. It is not a single shot. It is having, you can see, it involves so many processes. From checkout to lost or damaged items, you have so many steps in between. So I'll cover it one by one. So we'll see all the steps and then we'll move ahead. So from this you can see first is a checkout. What is this checkout? This is a process by which patrons borrow material. Means this is basically getting a document issued. I told you the synonymous term is charging. When the document is getting charged, means the user is getting the document issued. This is also known as checkout. Borrowing material from the library, the patrons typically present their library cards, because once you are a library member, you will be given a library membership card. So you have to present your card or provide identification to library staff who will scan the items barcode. Means whatever you, just suppose if it is a barcoded library, so in that case the person will scan the barcode. Scanning the barcode means scanning the barcode which is on the your library membership card. And second, the person is also responsible if he or she is going to issue any document, so he will be scanning the barcode of the document also. And or manually, both this. If it is not barcoded, then manually the record is entered in their information, especially that information is to be entered in the system. So whatever system you are following, whether it is a manual system or it is an automated system, that at least that information has to be entered to whom you are issuing this particular document. Second important procedure here is recording transaction. Each loan transaction is recorded in the library's database, if it is automated one. Otherwise, if we are following a card system, then also you have to maintain the card. So you have to maintain the reader card as well as book card. So these two have to be placed together. So it depends how we started, how we evolved, that we'll discuss later on. But whenever a user wants to get any document issued, so at least you should have the library membership card, and then rest of the process will be taken care by the library staff. So what it includes is the patron's information will be important here, the item borrowed, due date, and any associated fee or restriction. So that will be important here. Then third most important is loan period should be very clear. The libraries set the loan period, specifying how long patron can keep borrowed materials before they need to be returned. Means whether it is 1 week, 2 weeks, or whatever, or for a month. So at least that should be clear that the document is being borrowed for a week, or for maybe for 15 days, or for a month. Because if the user or the member knows about it, then only he or she will be in a position to return it. There is no question of forgetting it, because for every document you have a due date slip, and due date stamp will be embossed on the due date slip. So user cannot say that I was not knowing the due date, or I didn't remember when I got the document issued. So I was not very sure it is after 1 month or 15 days. Due date is embossed on the due date slip. So anytime user can check it, cross check it with the due date slip, and he or she can ascertain it that this is the due date, and the user will be responsible for returning the document on the particular due date. And if he or she is not returning it on the due date, then definitely he or she will be penalized for that. Next important procedure is fees and restriction. Libraries may impose fees for overdue items. As I told you, if it is penalizing, means overdue charges you have to pay. Certain materials such as limiting the number of items that can be borrowed at once, or restricting access to reference materials that cannot leave the library. So at least a user should understand that, okay, some are reference documents, rare documents, or textbooks that cannot be borrowed. This These rules should be very clear. And number two, the documents which are meant for issuing, the documents especially which are meant for issuing, they are on the shelves. The user can carry any document and then follow the set procedure. And if the set procedure is followed, means what you should have at the time of issue. If the user is able to generate all those records, then only the issue will be materialized. And next, for the loaning, one more procedure is there, that is renewal option is there. Some libraries allow the patrons to renew borrowed materials, and if they need them for a longer period. A renewal option may be available online, that can be done online also, or on phone, or in person, depending on the library's policy. So, as I told you, renewal is also possible. If just suppose for you are in, because of your engagements, you had not been able to go through the book, or you have not read it completely, still some portion is left. So in that case, you can make a formal request. You can call them informally, you can drop a mail, or by any means you try to just approach the library, formally or informally, and try to inform them that this book is due on such and such date, and you will not be in a position to come on such and such day. So please extend it for one more period. Probably it can be one more week, or maybe for 10 days or 15 days. Accordingly, they can do it also. So, but only the limitation will be if the document is not reserved. If the document is reserved, then even the circulation section will not be in a position to help you out, because maybe some other person or client or the user is in the dire need of that document. So first, they will ask you to return the document, give it to the person who is in urgent need of it, let him return it back, and then it can go back to the earlier user. So one more procedure, that is return. And once patrons are responsible for returning the borrowed material by the due date, libraries provide designated return areas. Return areas are designated if it is automated library or any library having RFID, so you don't have to bother about it. You have the RFID baskets are there, and there you have drop-in bags, and you have you can straight away drop in, just drop the books which you want to return it, or you have certain you can say electronic baskets are there where you can drop in and automatically discharge from your account. Or if you are following any traditional system, so in that case also you have to come to the counter and then return the material. They will verify both the things, that you are returning the same document, same title, same edition. They will cross check it. There is no mutilation in the book. Once everything is checked, then only the document will be returned. And if it is in due time, then well and good. If it is not being returned on the due date, then in that case fine will be calculated, and you will be supposed to pay that much of fine. So, and then one more process is notification. Libraries may send reminders to the patrons when their borrowed items are due. Means if it is due, the moment it will be due, or especially due for return, so you will be getting the reminders that okay, this is the due date, you are supposed to return on such and such day. And if it has been reserved, or maybe some user is already in the queue, so in that case they will inform you that you return by such and such day. Maybe the document has been reserved by some other user. So this helps the library patrons avoid overdue fines also. So nowadays libraries, they have a system where everything is monitored by the system, and immediately whenever the book is overdue, you get a mail you get a SMS on your mobile, or you get a mail in your mailbox that your book is such and such book is overdue, and you are supposed to return it today. If you are not able to return it, then you will be penalized. So means there is no question of forgetting it, or nobody has reminded you. These are all auto-generated mails or auto-generated SMS, which you can get it on your mobile, or you can get it in your mailboxes. So one more procedure here is lost or damaged items. So just suppose a patron or a user has lost or damaged some borrowed material. They are typically responsible for reimbursing to the library for the cost of the item, or paying the replacement fee, depending upon the library's policy. Just suppose if some user has lost a document, or maybe somebody has mutilated the document, so in that case the library policy will be will prevail, and they will go by the policy. If it has been mutilated to such an extent that it cannot be used further, so in that case the user will be supposed to either replace the document. Replacing the document means you buy the latest edition of the title, or second option is you pay the current price, recent price, whatever the recent price of the document is, you have to pay the recent price of the document. As per the policy, it can be decided. Once it is lost, this is what you have to do. If it is mutilated to such an extent, it cannot be, it is beyond repair. In that case also, you have to do the same thing. So that will be resolved as per the library's policy.